Last week on the Poisonrana free feed, we covered the matches you ranked 10th to 6th in part 1 of our Best Match Ever 2024.
All the different wrestling holds, like, Dean Malenko was just watching this in a corner in the dark somewhere, just like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
But this is just technical wrestling at its finest, and I'd be intrigued to, we say what matches do you show people who don't really know wrestling, and I think we often say like TLC 2 is a fun match to show people. I would wonder what people would think of this, because it's just so, the smoothness of it is just ridiculous. It's really like dance, like just the flow between the two of them is sensational to watch. Yeah. Get part 2 of Best Match Ever 2024 exclusively on patreon.com/Poisonrana. But that's not all. Sign up today and have access to hundreds more shows, including retro NXT reviews, movie reviews, retro wrestling reviews, and so much more. And it's only $5 a month. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello. Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us here at postwrestling.com, whatever podcast app you are using. And of course,
we are live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks. How are you doing?
Hello, Postmarks. Hello, everyone out there. It's Tuesday, January the 7th. Happy New Year, or Happy New Year's Evil. That's what we will be chatting about here today on our New Year's Evil post show at postwrestling.com. Hello, NXT friends. We'll always be your NXT friends, and we're here to talk about some NXT and a whole lot more, because in case you've been living under a rock right now, WWE is on fire right now, and WWE has made their biggest attempt to jump into the mainstream since, I don't know, since Hulk Hogan didn't get booed out of the building, I guess. WWE's attempt at becoming popular and cool yet again, which seemed to be working because they're on Netflix now, and it's a very, very big deal, as I'm sure you're all sick and tired about hearing. But we're here to talk about NXT, which was also on Netflix here tonight. But yeah, how we doing, everybody?
Everybody or me?
Just you?
Yeah.
Yourself, everybody?
I'm good. Yeah. We had fun yesterday. We had some people over to watch the Raw on Netflix debut, which we'll get into in just a little bit. Yeah, I'm pretty good. We've been recording a lot of shows for you lovely people recently.
Yes, absolutely. If you heard off the top, we have a Patreon where we do lots and lots of other podcasts covering wrestling, movies, etc. And it's January, so at the end of the year leading into the new year is a great time to be a wrestling fan and be a nerdy wrestling fan, listening to all the different podcasts and best and worst of shows, including the best and worst of 2024 show that we were joined by John and Way, or we were joining them on Post Wrestling on our patrons. Both our Patreons got this show, and it was a fun time. But this past week, we also did a part 1 of Best Match Ever 2024, which means part 2 is coming out this week over on our Patreon. I'm definitely excited to not only for you to hear it, but to actually record it and, like I said, nerd out over some wrestling. So yeah, as the new year begins, it's always like doing my homework of watching a lot of stuff back from 2024. And then on top of that, of course, there was a pay-per-view from AEW. There was 2 pay-per-views from New Japan. There was Monday Night Raw debuting on Netflix. The wrestling, as you know, as a wrestling fan, never stops. Do you have friends or people in your life who are like wait, wasn't the wrestling the other day? You're like, yeah, there's the wrestling that's
every
today.
day.
It's every fucking day.
Yeah, I highly recommend our latest episode of Poisonrana. It's absolutely free. If you haven't subscribed or followed our Poisonrana podcast feed yet, just type that word in, Poisonrana. You'll see the pink frog show up, and we've got so many shows on there for you to listen to. And every week we do a weekly kind of news roundup show. But this Sunday was a bit of a bumper edition because we had World's End to talk about. We had the 3-hour SmackDown. We had Wrestle Dynasty, Wrestle Kingdom 19. We had lots and lots and lots of shows to talk about. So go and give that a listen.
Yeah, give us a follow on YouTube or your podcast app, whether you're Apple, Spotify, whatever. Search Poisonrana, one word, into the app. Give us a follow. Give us a nice little review while you can. And check out all the other shows. I know this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right before SmackDown, we will have another free show streaming live. Eagles Don't Hunt Flies returns with Martin Bushby, Dickie Bird, and Brandon from New Jersey discussing Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, the first feud from
the lights out match.
Yeah. Very excited to hear them talk about that. I can't wait to get to the episode in few years of them discussing the current Jon Moxley run. I bet that will be a banger of an episode, considering everyone just really loves this run that Moxley's
I feel there are some people out there that like this. Like it's
really?
It's a weird one. We'll save it for a Sunday show, but
sure.
It's definitely like I don't think Mox is necessarily doing bad work. I just hate the whole thing.
yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, hey, I love you, Mox, but at the same time, I don't like any of this character work. And I mean, the question that a lot of we'll talk about this on Sunday, and here's a little cheap plug for Sunday at 2 p.m. we go live for Poisonrana, so we will be chatting about AEW and Raw and all that stuff. I know we'll give some Raw thoughts, but like they're wondering who's the guy to come in and take this title from Jon Moxley. I mean, the Lord and Savior of professional wrestling returned to wrestling, not on Netflix but in Japan on Sunday. And I mean, there's the answer to maybe some of their questions. But again, that's for Sunday's chat, as Dynamite looks pretty stacked tomorrow as well. So I know they got their haters, but they've been on a pretty good, minus that 4-way main event at World's End. But I've been still really enjoying all the wrestling that has been going on. There's so much to take in right now as a fan. So we're definitely so spoiled. So definitely looking forward to that. Tune in on Sunday, 2 p.m. Again, give us a follow on the podcast apps and the social medias, because you can keep up to date with all the other shows that we do, talking about some wrestling. And as we talk about wrestling, we should talk about Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Last night you said that we hung out, we watched it. I think this is the first time I watched a Raw live front to back in a very, very long time. I think I had to think about it today. I think I watched Raw 1000. They passed 1000. So I think I've watched that completely front to back. That must have been in the last.
Raw 1000 was 11 years ago.
Oh my God. Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've watched Raw all the way through with you.
No, wait, that's not
year.
right. No, there was a Raw, like when they celebrated a Raw, like a big one.
They did the what was it?
Big one.
Raw 25 from I've watched Raw with you since then.
I feel
last year we've watched
Raw 25 was the last one. That's what it was, the 25th anniversary. Yeah, I remember checking that one out. But we sat down, we had a bunch of people at the BDE, and we watched Monday Night Raw from Netflix, which apparently did really well. Shout out Squid Game, but it knocked it off the most watched today weekly thing on Netflix. If you looked at that, Squid Game has kind of been up there since the second season, but today it was knocked off top TV shows. I think that means in 24-hour things before wrestling fans get excited, like, look, so many people watch this, it beat all the other shows. I think it was just because of the one day that it activates it. But will we get ratings for Raw on Netflix? Is that going to be a thing that happens?
I feel like we got the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson numbers, didn't we? So I'm sure they'll put some kind of number out, and I'm sure it will be will be very good.
or heavily inflated still, or is that hopefully not that? I feel like they would get a really big number.
Like it's worldwide. Like it could be, watch within the first day or stuff like that. But whatever it is, it's going to be impressive.
I think it'll be a really, really high number considering this was the Raw Netflix debut, being all over the world, broadcasted live at the same time on like the same feed. Like that's a pretty incredible feat, and it's awesome, like seeing something that you love, like wrestling, something that most of us got made fun of or probably still do get made fun of, seeing it in the forefront of mainstream, like on Netflix, promoting this heavily and ads everywhere saying like, hey, this is the new wave of WWE programming on Netflix. So I got to give them a pat on the back for maybe not the most entertaining show, but at the same time, like I was blown away by some of the little things that I guess weren't so little, like the drone shots and the big feeling of everything, the updated graphics, even the mat itself. I don't mind having sponsors on the mat. I think it looks like a real sport or something, right? Like they made it feel like it was in a very important show. So I gotta say that it was great to watch. I can definitely sit and nitpick things I didn't like from it, which was probably just like the wrestling itself, but everything else was highly enjoyable. Segment of the night, unanimously worldwide, I think goes to Hulk Hogan being absolutely booed out of the building in LA. Look at the Netflix subtitle on that, crowd booing. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I've already requested we have funniest moment of the year for next year's best and worst of show, because this has to be in it. Just wasn't it great to see good old Terry coming out to a sea of boos. For me, what made it the funniest was just Jimmy Hart behind him. It's
waving the flag.
He's just coming out smiling, waving the flag. Oh, they're booing. He stops, and then he kind of does, the Homer Simpson gif of him like disappearing through the hedge. I feel he's doing that as he's waving the flag off. No, that was great. I enjoyed the spectacle of it. I thought that arena looks incredible. I thought how the production was awesome. I've much and more enjoyed a lot of episodes of Raws that have taken place in the last year or so. I think there was an element of, this is a brand new audience or potentially a brand new audience. So let's kind of educate them a bit. And I had no issue with that at all. I thought that opening video package was awesome. Like I had goosebumps watching that opening.
The wrestling one. It was basically like, hey, this is what wrestling is in like a nutshell. Here you go from Triple H. Yeah.
I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I loved that. However, throughout the night, it was very like, look at all this corporate shit. It's like, okay, like you've got to have a bit of fan service there. I didn't think much of the matches until the main event, which I really, really did enjoy. I thought Seth and Punk was great, and I'm hoping we get to see another one down the line. I thought, really well told match. I thought it had the right level of, like I believed the hatred in it. I liked, Punk's kind of story of, he's kind of doing. We talked about it on Sunday's show about Kenny teasing the diverticulitis. I think there's an element of that with Punk now in this run. And in the press conference, he was saying, I feel like I understand the business more than I ever have, and my body's breaking down on me. And I liked that. I liked that he looked like, tired, but still a bit of gas in the tank and still enough to beat Seth. I really enjoyed that match. However, I could have done with just a little bit more substance on the rest of the show, I thought. Like, aside from, having the legends there, The Rock there, Cena setting up his story, which I thought that segment was great. The rest of the matches didn't quite click for me, and I know we had the New Day Ray potentially Penta match bumped from it, which I somewhat understand, and I kind of like the direction of Chad Gable and Penta next week. I think that is going to be great, and it's going to allow Penta to to showcase himself on his own really well. But I thought just some kind of like just exhibition match would have been good. You know, you've got a new audience in, and it's the opening, you know, it's people that are invested in the story can take it. But for a lot of other people, it might be, wow, this is a lot of walking around. And I think having something a bit more, you know, if you just had a Fraxium or that kind of style exhibition match, that could maybe entice new viewers, as well as just being like, look how much money we've spent and how much money people have spent to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't get any. I think the main event match was like, it was good, but I don't think I'm ever going to go back and watch that again. I'd like to see it on a bigger scale or whatever with more time, but I didn't get any substance from the actual wrestling. I think like they went over 3 hours. And if you like look at it, there was what, 4 matches, like not a whole lot of wrestling on this show. Mind you, there was a lot of other moments that were bringing in like these other new fans that you would hope. But like, I enjoyed the show, but at the end of it, I'm like, this was all just a big commercial, is what it felt like from start to finish. It was a big commercial for, this is what you're going to expect going forward for WWE and this Netflix deal. And you know what? I think that will attract new people. I think that this episode was like enough of, oh, look, The Rock. Oh, look, John Cena. Oh, look, Hulk Hogan. Maybe not that last one, but like, you're gonna have a lot of people think like, oh shit, I gotta tune into this even days after this has aired. Like the hype around it and everything, I think it's gonna do what the job was. But like you said, it's servicing the actual fans. I don't think it necessarily did a whole lot of that last night.
So
because
I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Like in the press conference after, Triple H basically said, look, it's not going to be like this every week, obviously. And they're going to go, he's like, we're trying to do a TV show and also a PLE at the same time, kind of, whereas we'll be going back to our episodic storytelling. And that's when I'm more interested in it, because I think like Way and I both picked the 3-hour Raw as our favorite like weekly TV show of 2024. And I think it's because they were starting to get other characters over, were starting to have better matches that I was getting invested in. And if you're now having that with a bit of a flexible time where, okay, the show needs to be 3 hours this week, the show can be 2 hours 20 this week. I'm hoping those things sort of do improve. And so I'm kind of more looking forward to that. Like, yeah, it was cool seeing all the glossiness and the drones and all that. But at the end of the day, I still want wrestling storytelling.
Yeah, I want wrestling is what I watched this for. Call me crazy, but like, I like all the other silly stuff, but I do like watching wrestling because of the wrestling. And you mentioned Triple H. Is he okay? Because I thought he had died in the beginning of Raw. With him standing in the ring with his classic hoorah speech of like, yeah, this is WWE on Netflix. And then those pyro just shot up and he was like, whoa, I better back up. I was worried for him for a second there with all that pyro shooting off. I wonder what the pyro budget was, the drone budget, not only the drone cameras, but the drone light show outside. Like the things they can do with those things are crazy. But I said, it's like, it felt like a big commercial, because I think the most annoying thing out of this, and we'll get to more of something that annoyed me, involves the same guy, The Rock, who last year I thought had one of the best years of being like this, like love to hate character, being the final boss. And in the opening minutes of this episode of Raw, it's not the final boss, it's Dwayne coming out, which I'm like, all right, people know who this guy is, sure. He says a whole lot of nothing. He cuts to Cody Rhodes sitting in the front row, who's just giggling like, oh, hey, yeah, whatever, over the storyline. I was like, okay, I don't care if we're breaking fourth walls, but like, imagine having Roman Reigns ringside laughing off The Rock, playing off of a storyline. Imagine like The Rock being front row. You can't. Like, I feel like they really made Cody look like a bit of a geek sitting there, and then he's quickly whisked away, and then the match starts, and then he does a run-in where I just thought that was a bit odd, because The Rock just said a whole lot of nothing in that opening promo. And I mean, to cut to tonight, he said a whole lot of nothing in the promo he did tonight, which was then trying to talk about the promo from Monday Night Raw, and then he gets beat by the clock. So I thought that was a weird thing to start things with, like this promo that he's just like, yeah, it's great to be here, but he just kept going on and on about it. So I don't know how it definitely left a weird taste in my mouth after that promo.
I mean, I think it was a way of, letting us know this match isn't happening this year. So don't get your hopes up, letting us down early before it's, March and we think we're getting Rock and Cody or something like that.
Right. That was their way.
I think that was their way. It did feel very odd. I would say, even though it was a whole lot of nothing tonight, there was one nugget of substance, which was when The Rock said, address that. And it's like, oh, and now I'm being too nice to Cody. But remember, I'm always thinking 20 moves ahead. So I felt last night was him saying, yeah, this ain't happening this year. But tonight was kind of a way of saying, you'll see me again. And the final boss will be back. But that's on hiatus right now.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. Like, obviously trying to pivot from maybe what people expect them to do. Like, people may expect, hey, The Rock's been around for a long time, popping up here and there in the last year or so much that they think he might be involved. The story would go towards him versus Cody or him versus Roman, and him putting the Ula Fala over Roman after that match on Raw is pretty much like, hey, we're not going to do this right now, but like there'll be time.
But still a long lingering stare that, they'll use that in the package down the line.
I really didn't like that first hour because it felt like it was just The Rock talking, and then it was that pretty boring. It was just like a house show on steroids is what that Raw was. But it just they kind of needed that, like showing all the celebrities like to a casual to be like, whoa, look, Kieran and Macaulay Culkin also love wrestling. Oh shit, Topanga. Oh, like I get what they did, but at the end of the day, I was like, man, I didn't. After thinking about it after last night when I was going home, like I was really into the episode, but after the fact, I was like, really, like, what was that? That wasn't really that good.
I think we will. Yeah, we're maybe. I think a lot of us listening as well, watching it in a slightly different way, that episode. We're not watching it as a regular episode of Raw. We're watching it as what does WWE on Netflix look like and what kind of... So we're interested in things like the canvas, whereas I'm sure someone tuning in for the first time couldn't give a fuck what the canvas looks like. Even down to, the little Raw logo on the microphone is curved. That's different. The announce table has lights in it. That's different. We're picking up on all those things that we're maybe distracted. And I was kind of the same thing. I had a great time watching it with everyone yesterday. And then today I was like, really, I only really liked the Cena segment and the main event. And the rest was kind of nothing. And I hope they've announced 4 matches for next week. I hope we do get a bit more than that, or at least we get, we're going to go back to more backstage segments and promos and story building again. So I'm curious to see what the next few weeks look like. But yeah, I think the show was lacking maybe one other killer match or killer segment. Like, didn't even have to be wrestling, but just another thing, whether it be, a Becky or Charlotte return or something like that, something to get us thinking a direction for WrestleMania in at least one program would have been a good time to do it, I think.
Yeah, like it did feel like every other Raw that I've watched, and
I'd say it felt nothing like any Raw that's been on last year.
It's just like this is how I view in my head. This is exactly why I don't always watch Raws, because it feels always like this. So my toes dipping back into the water as like the old wrestling fan. I'm like, oh wait, is it always going to be like this? And Triple H is like, no, trust me, next week won't be like this. This was just, it's like, oh, okay, we'll go back to the.
I'd say you get a lot more substance and content on a regular.
Right. So this week did not have. It didn't. If you want to look at some positives from it, instead of me being like kind of negative on it, the positives being Hulk Hogan getting booed and then walking away with that t-shirt that looked like a diaper around his legs for a very iconic moment. The Cena promo actually I thought was my favorite part of the show, aside from the Hogan part, because it wasn't just the like, oh, everybody, thank you so much for being a big fan of me and I'm a good guy. He finally like turned and said, what if I go in the Royal Rumble? And then maybe he doesn't win the Royal Rumble. And what if I go in the Elimination Chamber and then maybe he doesn't win that? Like, I liked him being like, you know what? I should be a 17-time champion, and naming all the people that a lot of us are like, you know, fantasy booking and everything. So I thought that was a lot more clever use of John Cena than I thought we were going to get, considering The Rock came out and just blabbed on about nothing. So I was like, oh, that was actually pretty slick.
I think it could be a really fun story of Cena trying to get that, because I in a way, you don't have to have him challenge for the title. I know Cody Cena is maybe one of the plans, but maybe he doesn't beat Cody at Mania, because we do have money in, you know, he mentioned Money in the Bank. He should, you know, just miss out on winning the Rumble, just miss out on like final 2 Elimination Chamber, somehow get a match with Cody and lose, win Money in the Bank, and then maybe he announces like, I'm cashing in Boston in December or something like that, and my last match will be me going for the title. And can you, you know, he's saying, I don't think you can get any bigger than that for your last match. You know, I will break Flair's record 17th time as champion, and I'll like retire as champion like Sting did, you know. I think that could be a great story, and the multiple hurdles along the way, I think, is just going to build fans behind him more and more.
And it's going to make a shit ton of money. Like every city is going to get their own different version of the t-shirt and the, what is it, socks to go with it. Like, oh man, like they're going to make bank on this. Not that he needs it, but like they're going to make a lot of money. Like John Cena is a draw. It took a long time for people to like really love him. They'll still chant, "You can't wrestle," at least some of them, but like he is like a worldwide famous person from being not only in wrestling all these years, but like the movies that are probably on Netflix, that are probably on all these things. Like people know who he is. Your mom would know who he is. Maybe not our grandmas, but your moms would definitely know who this guy is now, just from like all these different years of him being, you know, everywhere. So I thought that was a really good promo, and it does make your brain go like, okay, wait, like, is he looks like he doesn't look like John Cena used to look, and I'm not knocking or body shaming, but he used to wear the armband around his arm, and now he's got it like not around there, right?
He looks like some dude dressed up as John Cena for
Halloween costume.
You know, like it is strange.
Like a little kid dressed as John Cena.
Yeah, it's weird.
He still looks good. He's got his hair. He's good. I think the show that he ends in, like you said Boston, but like you would imagine they make a show specifically for his last match, his retirement, like in Boston or in MSG. Like you got to have a pay-per-view that's based around this whole thing. And that is exactly what I see them doing in December. So yeah, if you've never seen John Cena wrestle, now is your time when he comes to a town near you to get your tickets. And like, look, they're doing the Rogers Center, the Sky Dome, and his face is right on that poster. And he's a big reason why that they have sold a lot of tickets. Like my brother, who's a casual fan, he likes to dip in every now and then. He said his friend at work bought 10 tickets. They don't even watch wrestling. They just saw John Cena on the poster and it said last time ever in Toronto wrestling. They were like, fuck it, we got to go. They don't even watch wrestling. And they're like, John Cena? Oh shit. Okay. And those tickets are not cheap. So like it is working. And this tour will be a like success for WWE. And then when he's gone, we'll miss him. We'll miss him so much, but not too much, because you can hear us talk about him on The Champ Is Here, because Davie and I are crazy and have enlisted ourselves to go through a wild ride. So join us for The Time Is Now on The Champ Is Here. Once a month, sort of, we go through each John Cena title reign and win and go through the entire history of John Cena. If you go through the archives here on the free Post Wrestling feed, a few months ago, we were joined for episode 1 by Nate Milton and Andrew Thompson from the NWA pod to talk all about Cena's beginning in WWE and his first reign. And then we've been doing a show each month talking about each title reign. So eventually we will get up to number 17. So
we're actually going to be recording a new episode next week with our boys from What Up Doe, John Cena and B Detroit. We're going to be looking at the 5th reign of John Cena. This is the build to WrestleMania 25, which all involves an affair with Vicky Guerrero and the Big Show.
Great stuff.
And yes, we'll have your boys from What Up Doe joining us for that. Very much looking forward to hanging out with those two for this show. And I believe they're recording a brand new What Up Doe available on our free feed tomorrow. So lots of stuff you can get by subscribing. I'm sure they're going to be giving all their thoughts on Raw on Netflix and everything else in the world of wrestling.
Yes. I need their. They're going to go through what happened on Raw and what the hell is going on with Topanga and why is she cheating on Corey with Eric of all people. But I'm sure they'll discuss that. We don't need to go any further. I don't think you know who Topanga is.
No, I've seen like 3 episodes of.
Last night we had a room full of dudes, and when they cut to Topanga, all of us except the Brit in the room is like, what? Everyone's like, and you were like, I don't know. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. It was like, oh man.
I mean, I last saw her when she was 10, so I have no idea who this woman is.
Oh man, Topanga, legend. But they did Eric Matthews wrong there. Will Friedle, voice of Batman Beyond, I think.
Yeah, don't care. No idea. We have a super chat from Jake from the Windy City who says, Rollins had a lot to lose in that match, and now I'm wondering where he's going to go from here. And my man Macaulay Culkin got the Road Warrior pop. Yeah, biggest pop of the night, Macaulay Culkin. Oh,
easily. Bigger pop than Seth, than Punk. Like, they didn't put up that meter for Macaulay Culkin. That what is that meter? Like the sound gauging? Yeah, they didn't put it up for CM Punk after his entrance, but they should have put it up for Macaulay Culkin because he knows how to work, man. Mm-hmm. He puts his hat down, the camera scroll. He was like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, this guy knows what he's doing.
I like he went right up to Seth Green as well. It's like, oh, is that Macaulay? Oh no, that's Seth Green. Oh no, that's Macaulay Culkin.
Has Seth Green finally aged? Is that like he did look older now? I'm like, wow. For a guy we always say like, oh, he doesn't age. So I was like, oh wait a second. Was Kieran and Macaulay not seated together, or did Kieran show up late? He was like, got it coming from his Golden Globe win party from the morning before. So it's always cool to see that too, like seeing celebrities not in the wrestling world like actually, care about wrestling. Because hey, there are a lot of them out there that do like wrestling as well. But yeah, that was a cool moment.
And thank you, Jake, for that super chat. As for Rollins, I found it interesting on the post show with Punk, who basically was saying like, that is the Seth Rollins I want, and he's not a fan of the stupid clothes and the laugh and all that. And Punk, like, in Punk fashion, sounded quite egotistical, but also I think had some merit in what he was saying, where he says he brings out the best in his opponents. And I think that's something we've said, especially on mic, is, this has tapped into something real for Seth. And I think this should be a bit of a change in character for Seth moving forward. I'd like to see him maybe turn heel for a bit, but, ditch all of this. Ditch the costumes, ditch the laugh, be more of a killer. Just wear black jeans, black t-shirt.
Be boring again, Seth.
Kind of, yeah. Because
that's what he was before he did all this.
But I think he's good enough now. I think all this other stuff is kind of like, it's helped get something out of Seth Rollins. It's definitely, the song and all that, the crowd love it. But I think we see enough now where he doesn't need to necessarily hide behind all that. And if he can be as invested in a feud as he was with this one, I think he sounds great on the mic and sounds passionate. And like, again, that go home segment on Raw last week just sold this match for me completely. So I see some sort of major character change going forward with Seth. It's maybe not going to happen overnight, but I think this is the first like seed of it, losing to Punk.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sucky for Seth to lose, but you kind of see the writing on the wall. Like everyone predicted that like Punk should go over because you'd imagine he's got some bigger things to do in 2025, whether it's win the Royal Rumble or actually main event a WrestleMania like he says he wants to do. So like it made a lot of sense. It just sucks for Seth because he's had his momentum, and all the stuff he was saying in the promo last week was like, hey, I stayed and I've been protecting this place and holding the guard. And then he ends up losing to Punk. But I agree with what Punk said about the bringing the best in, because the mic stuff, again, I didn't necessarily think the match delivered on the level I thought it was going to do. Like if that was the exact same match that happened at WrestleMania, I think a lot of people would say it was a little disappointed. But
I don't know. I very much enjoyed the match. I I'm not in that camp.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought it was great.
Like, I feel like there would be a bigger rematch down the line where we'd get a lot more out of it. But like out of the wrestling on the show, easily by flying cult, like that was the best match on that show. But it left me still like, okay, that was it kind of thing, where I more so enjoyed Punk boasting after the fact when it cut, whatever that was, at the YouTube that they cut to after, where he's like being interviewed by Jackie.
The post show, yeah.
He's got great chemistry with Jackie. They both love hockey, but like him, like running his mouth, shouting out Chris Bay, I thought that was good. Like basically saying like, hey, if you shit on me, like look where I am now, kind of thing. Like I love that arrogance coming off of it, but I still wasn't fully sold on the wrestling there. But he should be the main event of WrestleMania this year in one of the nights. Like him versus Gunther could easily be one of the matches. Oh wait, sorry, no, that's not the match. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk is the main event of WrestleMania this year. Like The Rock going to shoot some movie where he wears a safari shirt, I'm sure. So like CM Punk versus Roman is, you would imagine, is what's going to be locked in with the Paul Heyman stuff and everything.
That seems to be the talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's money.
Cena, Cody, and Punk Roman.
Yeah. Those are two big matches, and it does not involve The Rock. So I think WWE is just fine without him going forward for WrestleMania season. But yeah, big things for WWE. Like Netflix being on that is crazy. Being more accessible for people, like a big thing. Yeah, they're not on TV anymore. TV still exists to some people. Like I'm a millennial. I haven't had cable since I moved out like over 10 years ago. So like less than 10 years ago, but still like it's so more accessible now that it's just a click of a button and it's there. And like, I know we had the network and everything, but I'm wondering how it is for American viewers. We got like WWE ads and some interviews and things like that. And I'm seeing that people got like ads in between that and stuff. And I'm sure it could be a little annoying for some Americans having like to go different things and different things, right? Like, so the pay-per-views are on Peacock and yeah. So like, it can be a little confusing, but it's crazy that it's
flipping a channel. It's not the hardest work in the world.
Yeah. But some people don't want to subscribe to certain things, right? Like maybe you don't have cable or don't want to pay for just SmackDown, right? Like we would never do that. So it's like, now that it's on Netflix, for Canadians at least, it's like, wow, it's all right there. So good for them. I think it's a power move and kind of showing the future of TV and live streaming and everything. Like this is a good movement in that direction, I think. So good job, even though I kind of hated this show.
Well, shall we get into NXT New Year's Evil?
Yes, let's go back to LA. Escape from LA once again.
So NXT New Year's Evil 2024 taking place from the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Again, I love these venues they've been picking for NXT. I thought the venue looked great for this show.
Yes, yeah, it definitely did. I mean, the venue last night in the Intuit Dome looked good, but this is the Shrine Auditorium, and like looking at photos before this show, I was like, hey, that should look pretty good. And it totally did. They made it look good. It was packed. They said it was sold out. It had a lot of people cheering and going. So like if you were to tune into like, oh, if that was Raw, I got to see what the next show is like. It still looked impressive. Obviously not 17,000 people, but very, very busy and packed and everything. So I think they were probably really happy with that.
It opens with a car pulling up and we see The Rock, the People's Champ, getting out the car, holding the People's Championship. I was wondering if he retired that yesterday as he gave it to his daughters, but obviously took it back off them. He's still the People's Champion.
He's like, no, you're going to have to give that back to Daddy. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's my title. Yeah, I mean, we kind of glossed over that last night. Like, while Raw is going on, The Rock is on his Instagram Live again, and he's drinking shots with Cody, and then gets in the car to drive, which I think may have upset some people, seeing him do some shots, and then I'm leaving, and gets in the car and drives off. But as he does, he says, I'm going to be on NXT tomorrow night, which is crazy. This beats out The Undertaker for biggest star in wrestling to ever show up on NXT. Will he do more than The Undertaker did on his appearance than NXT? That is left to be answered. But yeah, The Rock being on NXT, like that's a cool thing. That's a great a great little promotion. CW was like, wait, what? We're getting The Rock? Oh shit. Okay, cool. Did you also notice yesterday the cuts and on this episode of like they would mute the commentator? Is that something to do with network or something? you must have heard this. Like I noticed it once on Raw, but I noticed it a few times here where they would come back from break and Vic Joseph, or I guess Michael Cole on Raw, they would start talking and then they'd cut their feed and then it would go quiet. And then it would come back, and then he'd start talking. So I'm wondering if they muted him.
That's the commercial breaks. Yeah, that's coming back from commercials.
So is that them because they're saying, "Hey, you're watching live on the CW," and they're like completely muting that for Netflix?
So I think we only got the picture-in-picture on this show through the Giulia Roxanne match, didn't we?
Yeah,
but yeah, it kind of cuts to black. And whereas on like Triller, if we're watching AEW, it just goes through, but you hear quite distinctively commentary kind of take a back seat, don't you? This, it was like just a pause, it cuts to black, it goes back to the match. And back before coming in.
Yeah, but I'm talking about later on where every like a few breaks, they would come back and then it would clearly be like his mic gets muted and then he comes back and he's like halfway through a sentence. So I think it's because they don't want to say the network name on Netflix.
Yeah, maybe that's probably it. Yeah. Simulcasting everywhere and stuff.
I mean, which would be fine if you just said, hey, this is on all these channels and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, watching in Canada or the UK, it's been saying it's on USA Network.
We're
and all that
used
forever,
to that for years.
It might be a Netflix call, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and then we see Corey Graves joining commentary for the night with Book and Vic. Is this a permanent move?
I think it might be a little bit of a head scratcher. You finally had me love Vic Joseph and Booker T. Beaten into submission, maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but Vic and Book together is like just a great pair. But now you've added Corey, and right away I was like, their voices kind of sound similar. I wasn't the only one who thought that, because a few times on this show, Booker thought he was talking to Vic, but he was actually talking to Corey, and vice versa. Quite a few times where Corey eventually had to say, "Hey, Book, I'm actually Corey. I'm Corey Graves," and Book's like, "Oh, shit, okay, my bad."
Yeah, kind of weird. I mean, I imagine when because I don't think like Pat's on Netflix for now, but usually when college football starts or whatever, I don't know, sports, you know, he goes off again. So I wonder if Corey will make the move to join Cole on Raw when Pat next leaves for a few months or whatever. But it's and they want to go with Joe Tessitore on SmackDown, so I guess Corey's just kind of like the odd one out, unfortunately, which is kind of a shame and just feels a little weird. I mean, he's a great, you know, he does play-by-play, he does color, but being the third man in this booth just seems a little odd.
Yeah, I'm actually a fan of Corey Graves and his commentary, but I will say I wasn't a fan of this three-man booth tonight. I thought, again, their voices sounded very similar. They sounded like they were stepping on each other's toes. There sounded like times he was just like, all right, I'll just shut up here. And then he was definitely trying to shoehorn in like wrestle nerd things, because I know Michael Cole did the other day or the other week. So I felt like Corey was like, no, wait, I can do that too. And start talking about Wrestle Kingdom and shit. But I don't know if I hope this isn't a permanent thing, but I imagine that it is, because it's like, Corey, we need something for you to do. And again, I think he is great, but I don't think we need him right now on NXT. Can he just get paid to sit at home for a little bit before we figure out like what other show, when they finally when Pat has to go off somewhere or Joe needs something to do? But I didn't like this. Like Booker is not for everyone already, but Booker, Corey, and Vic, do we really need three people? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Yeah, it is a little odd.
Yeah, okay.
And we go into our first match of the night. I kind of thought this was going to be the main event, but it's not. We're opening with the Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez taking on Giulia. And, well, they get right into it. They're trading roll-ups early. Roxanne slaps Giulia and kind of mocks her, bowing towards her. And this fires up Giulia, who starts delivering some headbutts. And this is where Corey describes Giulia as a young Nakamura, like a Wrestle Kingdom Nakamura.
Very weird.
There's then a running boot into the corner from Giulia. And now Roxanne starts to attack the left wrist, and she's stomping on it on the apron. And this is where we go to commercial break, but on our Netflix feed, we're getting the match in full. This was the only time throughout this show we got the match in full.
They teased us. They teased me here. They're like, "Oh, you want picture-in-picture? We got you." I was like, great, more wrestling. Cut to commercial all you want. Boy, was I wrong.
And they actually did quite a lot during this this break. There was like a forearm exchange between the two, a sunset flip off the top, followed by a suicide dive. And then we go back to the main match, sort of after commercials, and there's an avalanche double underhook suplex from Giulia, followed by this. They called it a modified Michinoku driver, but it looked like she just spiked her with like the Fire Thunder driver here. It looked great.
We've been talking about this move. It's supposed to be like a spin out shoulder breaker, but really it's the landslide. It's the sit out Fire Thunder Rikishi driver. Like this is a pile driver. This should be her finisher. This is better than her finisher. This is a crazy looking move.
Yeah, looked great. Roxanne then goes to for the crossface. Giulia gets to the ropes, but Rox kicks off it, drags her into the middle of the ring, and goes for pop Rox. But Giulia springs her off, but Rox comes right back with a drop kick, sending Giulia to the outside. She goes after her, and Giulia catches her with the Northern Lights bomb on the floor. And then the ref is counting as both women are down, and Cora Jade runs out, picks up Roxanne, throws her back into the ring to try and get the count-out victory. And then Giulia just makes it to the ring on 9.5, but runs right into this pop Rox, followed by a Fujiwara armbar. And as Roxanne is just yanking back on this arm, it looked really good here. This is where the ref sends Cora Jade to the back, but Giulia manages to roll through from the arm breaker and delivers the Arrivederci knee, followed by the Northern Lights bomb. And 1, 2, 3, Giulia is your new NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, a whole lot better than their first match. Maybe it was because I actually got to watch the match in full, considering the last time it cut to a break for what I thought was a majority of the match. This match, they only went just over 11 minutes, but I think they got a whole lot in there. Like lots of great offense from each other, like definitely showcasing just how good and how skilled not only Giulia here winning with like some pretty impressive maneuvers, but Roxanne as well. Like if this was again, like your first glimpse of NXT and you're seeing these two women just like kill each other here in this match in like 10 minutes, like I'd say it was a lot better than their first match, but I still felt like I was a little shortchanged of like maybe I'm still stuck in the takeover days, but like a PLE, like a little bit longer than a 10, 11 minute match. That being said, I think this was probably my favorite match on this show, considering like they definitely have some good chemistry. And again, it makes me kind of want to see them do it again. They did announce Vengeance Day, which maybe we just go to a rematch, which give them more time and let them go off and go crazy. So I like this. Booker T did not. On commentary, obviously his girl Roxanne losing, he was very, very upset. Vic Joseph had to tell him maybe he should switch to decaf on the show, a classic line from him. But yeah, new champ, new era here. I think we were kind of, on the fence of like, hey, we love this run from Roxanne and we don't want to see her go. But at the same time, like she's been killing it here. There's not a whole lot left to do. She could be killing it on the main roster, and like hopefully that's where we go with her in the near future, because the more eyes on Roxanne, that means like more money for WWE. Like she's going to be a really big star, and the same goes with Giulia. I think
I really, really like this match. I think both are great. I think what you often find is sometimes these Japanese women come over and it's the American women are a little too timid to kind of to hit as hard. I think of when Asuka came in and she was just kicking people's heads off. And whereas Roxanne was bringing it to her, I thought she was often instigating a lot of the like stiff exchanges between the two. I much preferred this to the first one. I thought they had really good chemistry here and got into the kind of final stretch of this match. I hope they do run it back at Vengeance Day on a PLE. It's one apiece now. Maybe do a 2 out of 3 falls or something between the two would be good.
Yeah,
give them some time.
Yeah, I mean, Vic and Corey were discussing on commentary like, hey, as Roxanne says she's surpassed the boss of NXT, says she's surpassed the queen, the huggers, like maybe you keep her around for a little bit here. You could run back the Iron Woman match that Sasha and Bayley did.
That would be good.
Like that would be pretty crazy with these two. I think that would really get to show off their in-ring skills. Because again, these two are like so talented. Like, dare I say, I think there was better work rate in this match than Punk and Seth from the night before. Like, I'm sorry, I just like Giulia is incredible to watch. So I can't wait to see what she does in this title run in NXT. But yeah, I'm happy that we got a new champ. Like, I'm sad for this run of Roxanne. Like, been a pretty epic run in 2024 with like the hit list of matches. But I'm happy that we're like going forward with something a bit new and fresher. So yeah, probably one of my highlights of this show, if not my highlight of this show.
We go backstage and we see Eddie Thorpe, who has been thrown down some stairs, and he isn't sure if he's going to be able to wrestle in the match. And Ava doesn't believe him, thinks he's, boy who cried wolf here. So that mystery continues throughout the night.
Okay, so he's injured, but he's like, no, I'm really injured. And she's just rolling her eyes like, oh, yeah, okay, well, you still have the match kind of thing. Yeah, great.
We then have it announced that Vengeance Day is coming to the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C. on February the 15th.
Yes, we love our Saturday night pay-per-views, Davey. A Saturday night, the 15th. That means you have Friday. All you Valentines out there, the Friday is the Valentines. I'm giving you a little heads up, guys. You got over a month still, but the Friday is Valentine's Day, and then the Saturday is Vengeance Day. I hate that it's on a Saturday, but we've critiqued them for putting Vengeance Day like way off from Valentine's Day. So they must have listened and went, yeah, we'll put it the day after that. So yeah, Saturday night, mark your calendars, Vengeance Day.
We get a video from Javon Evans. We see highlights of Ethan Page breaking his jaw, and we see his jaw is now wired shut, and he's talking here with like his mouth wired shut with subtitles so we can understand him. He's saying, I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't talk. And what you did to Cedric, what you did to me, I'll make you feel my pain.
Yes.
I quite like this. I quite like seeing him all wired shut.
Yeah, I made it.
They did it pretty well.
I made a joke last week saying, like, I bet they're going to go through that. You won't get this reference, but they're going to do some sort of Kanye West Through the Wire. And that's definitely what I got from this. So Kanye got in an accident when he was young where he had his jaw wired shut. So the true artist of Kanye was like, wait, give me a microphone. And he recorded a song supposedly while his mouth was closed. So here Javon is talking similar things like, hey, I'm not what he said he can't even eat or whatever, so someone better get him the scissor there. But I like this angle, like old school injury angles in wrestling. This is pretty simple, but like different from a lot of other things, like having this guy sit there talking to a camera while you can barely understand him. They had to put subtitles on the show to let you actually understand what he's saying. Some other people might need subtitles.
Yeah, there's a few people in this roster that could use subtitles and their jaws aren't wired shut.
And you're not talking about the foreign talent either. You're talking about the American talent. We'll get there. But yeah, I really like this. Like, again, I'm a really big fan of that song. So I got like, it definitely feels like there may be some inspiration there, but I'm loving this. And like Vengeance Day, this should be the match. It should be Javon Evans versus Ethan Page in some sort of violent, street fight or something like that. But yeah, really good. Because we've seen Javon, he's super young. We know he's a good wrestler, but here they're throwing him in like stories and trying out different things with him. Like that's what NXT is for, right? So they since the get-go with this Ethan Page Javon thing, it's one of the most interesting stories going for sure. It's more interesting than the world title match story. So
we go forward, and it's the Women's North American Championship #1 contenders 4-way match. So Kelani Jordan, Cora Jade, Stephanie Vaquer, and Lola Vice. It starts pretty quick. Everyone's attempting some pin attempts early on. Stephanie delivers her head scissor slams to Cora's face, and then Lola breaks it up with a submission attempt. Cora then tries to take down Kelani, who flips out of it and then dives to the floor. Cora then takes out Kelani with a dive to the floor. And this is when we go to a commercial break. And this time, there was no picture-in-picture for us.
Yes.
In Canada.
We got a new thing, though. Worldwide Netflix viewers, not talking about you Americans who aren't using VPNs. We got the debut of something we're going to have to get real used to. the NXT commercial music that played during every commercial here. I like a nice little thing. It shows slow-mo. It'll focus on like one superstar, and then it'll say "be right back," but then it starts flipping it to like different languages, which I thought was cool. You know, everyone's watching all over the world. So
what I actually really liked about these breaks, though, is they had a countdown. You could see exactly how much time you had. So you know if you've got time to have a quick pee, to make yourself a quick drink, to fold some laundry, to listen to a song, whatever you want to do. I quite like that, the time countdown. But anyway, we come back and Stephanie catches Kelani with a dragon screw in the ropes, followed by a meteora to Cora in the corner. And then Lola comes in with her multiple spin kicks to Stephanie, and then her rapid quick kicks to Kelani. And then she shakes her bum and hits the running hip attack in the corner. Stephanie comes back with a big splash to the floor, which takes out Cora and Lola. And then Kelani with a Charlotte Flair-esque moonsault, landing on her feet, not hitting anyone, but everyone falling to the floor.
Is hers different, though? Is hers like she does the rotation even more, that it's like a back spring elbow almost? Or is she just doing the Charlotte? Because
I don't know.
It's not the best moonsault. She's very athletic. She can do a moonsault, right? But the way you're landing doesn't look like this is an impactful move whatsoever. But yeah.
Oh, well, still look good, I guess.
What about her 450? I thought that the girl had rolled out of the way before she went for the 450. And then Vic on commentary tried to save it, and then he stopped.
So yeah, Vaquer goes for a high cross for a 2, Cora hits a high cross, which Vaquer rolls through for a 2 count, and then Kelani follows up. Vic's calling that she's going for the 5-star frog splash, but yeah, this is where Cora kind of moves early. She goes for the 450 and misses it, and then Vaquer hits the SVP, the kind of double underhook shoulder breaker, the package shoulder breaker, I guess, here for the win.
Yeah, a pretty fun match. We didn't get picture-in-picture, so I felt like this match went like less than 10 minutes, and probably 3 to 4 minutes of it weren't aired. At least I don't know. There wasn't picture-in-picture, I'm assuming, right? So from the stuff that we did get to see out of it, like there was some impressive stuff. Like Stephanie Vaquer is so amazing in ring. Like she is so fluid. Like, and here she is with a bunch of the NXT people who I think like we're able to stay on her level. Like Lola Vice, Kelani Jordan, and dare I say Cora Jade have been like projects here in NXT. And I'd say it's really working for them. Specifically, I'm really into Lola Vice and Kelani. But like Stephanie was just like crushing it here. And I'm happy that she won. And I think the only thing I don't like still is that finisher, but like everything else, she's becoming really quickly one of the most entertaining characters on this show. So like all the power to her. I can't wait till we get to Stephanie versus Giulia because that'll just absolutely rock. But for a quick little 4-way match, I thought this was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think whoever books the multi-person matches in NXT does a great job because they always deliver for me. They're just always like so high-paced. Everyone gets their stuff in. Sort of everyone has a good showcase in these matches. I really enjoyed this. I like the direction of Stephanie versus Fallon a lot. If that is the way we're going, there's something we'll get to in a little bit that it might change. But Stephanie Vaquer versus Fallon Henley sounds great. And should be the match. So I'm looking forward to that. This is where we see Ava with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, and she tells them that they have a number 1 contenders match next week against the Meta Girls, and they're excited, and Isla laughs and runs off. So that's for the number 1 contenders for the women's tag titles. And that's when Ava's asked if she has an update on Eddy. And she's like, oh, I don't really care. Eddie's always faking it. And this is when Oba walks in saying, no, he wasn't pretending. I attacked him. And Ava goes, well, still, fuck that guy. He'll be a triple threat regardless.
Best thing Ava's ever done or said. Yeah, actually, I don't care. That I actually like this. He comes in, it's like, as she's yelling this, like, oh, yeah, I got to figure out what's going on with Eddy. And Oba just says, I did it. Like showcasing how boss this dude is like, no, you're not understanding. I did it. I did do it. Oh, Oh, okay. Well, the match is still on.
And Oba says, I don't care. I don't care if he's in the match. I don't care if he's not in the match. The result will be the same.
Oba rocking a Christian Cage inspired turtleneck here.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very nice. Very fashionable.
We then see Triple H and Nick Khan and a guy who I assume was Greg from Netflix show up front row.
Everyone from Netflix. All these Netflix execs who stay for half the show. That was a gripe on Raw. They kept cutting to the crowd and it'd be like everyone left.
Oh, seat fillers, guys. Come on.
Yeah, seat fillers.
You're in LA. You have all the seat fillers in LA possible. Just
yeah.
That
was a thing I noticed on Raw, actually. Like, as I know people like to go off like, oh, look at all these empty seats. It's like every time they came back from a break, it showed like empty seats.
Well, especially during the main event, you know, it's like all these people trying to beat LA traffic or whatever. But it's
true.
Yeah, you got to get some fans who you move into those seats if they're not there, because it was a shame. It was a shame to see just this empty floor section in apparently the highest gate of all time for an arena show.
You all paid the most amount of money ever. Yeah. I mean, Punk, I guess, was used to wrestling with that side empty, but still, it was very, very like I could notice it multiple times. Like, hey, all those people left like way before halfway through the show. I like that they're really pushing this, but Triple H hanging out with his friends, they do the thing. They probably all walked out right after they shot this thing with Triple H hanging out with Nick Khan. Triple H trying to get an NXT chant going, but at this shot too, it's still his baby, right? He just lent it to Sean.
We then get a video from OTM. They say they're impressed by Fraxium, but Lucien Price grew up in Nigeria and fought for their food there. And Bronco is from the streets and he got beaten up by his brothers growing up. So they're real men and Fraxium are just kids. And next week, they're going to take the titles off their shoulders and around their waist. And next week, they'll drag them through the mud. I find it really hard understanding these guys every week. Like, I'm all for different accents and things, you know, like, but you've still got to be TV ready and have some sort of enunciation. It sounds like these guys have marbles in their mouth whenever they talk. And I really struggle.
Is it because they have grills in their mouth? Do they have grills, right? I can't.
Yeah, but other people like Swerve is like has grills in his mouth. And I don't have an issue with him. It's just not. I'd say the same with Gallus. Like there are like strong accents or dialects or whatever that are hard to understand, but you work on it if you're on TV. You know, Drew McIntyre has a thick Scottish accent. I understand every word he says. You know, you can't be mumbling if you're on TV, in my opinion.
I didn't necessarily feel that way, but at the same time, I can't tell you what they said other than we're gonna get out the mud.
Like I had to watch this back and like
with Netflix subtitles.
Hopefully, they're quicker on the uploading the subtitles for this because I struggle whenever these guys talk, and it is something again like this is development, right? Like in my opinion, these are things you should be noted on because if like I could understand Stephanie Vaquer clearly later in the show, and she's not English speaking.
I didn't. Yeah, I feel like I didn't have the as tough a time, but you're not wrong. But I do say on a plus, like these guys have been improving, like wrestling. Maybe not so much in this promo, but like I do think that I see improvement in these guys. So like, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
they need to get out the mud.
Sure. And then we go to our next match. It's another women's match. Have we had 3 women's matches back to back on the show before? I don't know.
Yeah, like without even going to a match with men. Like, yeah.
So Fatal Influence taking on Gigi, Shotzi, and Tatum. I do like I kind of like this group, Gigi, Shotzi, and Tatum. I think
Chemical X.
Are they going by that?
They didn't say it here, but they've been saying it on social media. I got to shout out a few people last week. I was like, it sounds familiar. I don't know what that is. A few people have hit us up saying it is from the Powerpuff Girls. Of course. Yeah. Because they're even dressed in all the 3 different colors, but 3 colors.
Yeah, you've got the red.
I gotta
red,
say,
red, black, and green, and
they had some great outfits here. So much that my girlfriend passed by the room and she was like, "Oh, who are these three? Like they're dressed really well." And I loved Gigi's. Gigi's got the orange hair, right? And she had these big furry boots and things to kick pads to match.
Shotzi had black furry kick pads.
Yeah,
well.
it was
Tatum
pretty great.
didn't get the memo, but
Tatum was like, "Guys, what do you? I could have got." Yeah,
I could see this. I could see this group working and clicking with people. I kind of got a bit of a Riot Squad vibe from them, but less forced. I felt that group kind of really felt forced together, and over time they've gelled. But I think you could have something similar with these three. Just a bit of a different group, and if you can define their personalities a little bit more, Shotzi being the ballsy one, Tatum being the weird one. Figure out what is Gigi, what is Gigi's character in this group. I think it could work, actually.
Yeah.
So the baby faces take advantage early. There's quick tags, so they all hit moves on Fallon. There's like a splash and an elbow. And then after the break, Shotzi delivers a suplex to Fallon in the corner, which looked quite nasty. She almost dropped her on her head. And then everyone's flighting on the floor as we go to a commercial break. Afterwards, we come back and JC hits a senton on Tatum. Gigi makes the tag, and now we're JC and Gigi facing off once again. So they're going at it. Fallon comes in, and Gigi hits both Fallon and JC with double neck breaker. Shotzi comes off the top with a crossbody. Tatum hits the moonsault off the apron, taking everyone else out on the floor. And then Shotzi comes off the top rope with the senton to Fallon Henley, pinning the North American champion and winning the match for her team.
Yes, they were calling it the ball pit because it does look like a move you would do when jumping into a ball pit. So I do like that. You know what? Like this is maybe the first or second or third week of seeing them like as a unit, the three of them, but they all gel really well. I think we've been pretty critical of Gigi Dolin in the last few years in NXT. We haven't seen much improvement. And in one match here today, I saw a lot of improvement. I think this group could work together if sticking together. Like factions and stables work in wrestling and help get people over. They're done for a reason. So if furry boots is all what she was needing, like keep wearing them, because I thought all three like had my interest. When I'd say these three characters were kind of just there in the past little while. I know Shotzi injuries and main roster and all that stuff, but I thought they looked better than I thought they were going to look. And I thought this match was pretty fun as well. Like the women really shining on this show. Like the calling card of NXT for a while has been the women's wrestling. And this show, an hour in, half the show is all women. And like they all did a good job. There was not like necessarily a bad match on this show. So women heavy episode, but like really, really showed some fun stuff in this. And Shotzi pinning Fallon, which makes things even more interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I still feel Shotzi and Gigi just aren't there in the ring. There's every match, there's some clunkiness, awkwardness, and you think one of them might die, which
that's their gimmick.
Isn't great. But as I said, I do like this group. But yeah, they need to step it up. Like both have been doing this for far too long to still be doing this. When Tatum, I felt, was the best worker of the team. And she's the newest of the three. Right. We go forwards, and Ethan Page enters Ava's office, and he's frustrated that he's not booked on the show. He's the top guy. He's like, hey, you've been showing that video of me breaking Javon's jaw like multiple times a week, but I'm not on it. What's going on? And Ava goes, oh, what perfect timing, as The Rock walks in.
Ooh.
And he gets in Ethan Page's face and he says, I've heard a lot about you. Not all good. You broke a guy's jaw. Yeah. Payback's going to be a bitch with that one. And you broke a guy's wrist. And Page goes, his fingers actually, but I'll take credit for wrist. And Rock says, yeah, well, if the roster, I like that. Like, I like what you're doing. And if the main roster, if you ever make it to the main roster, you come to me. If you ever want advice, but one final thing, I am the final boss and the final boss. But in here in NXT, she, pointing to Ava, she's the final boss. And if you and I are going to be cool, you and her have to be cool. I'll see you on the main roster one day. And smacks his ass and calls him sweet cheeks as he leaves. And then we're left with Ava and The Rock. And this felt very genuine when we hear the promo later. But she goes, what are you going to say? And he's like, I haven't got a fucking clue.
I don't know.
I'm just showing here. And she's saying, well, NXT is a passionate place. And when you're out there, you'll feel it and you'll say it from the heart. And
then he kind of walks off a little bit.
Scream.
Does the Chi-Hu. And then he does say under his breath for the second F-bomb of the night, because we did gloss over when the camera showed him getting out of his truck, popping his can of, what is it, Zoa energy or whatever. They had to censor him because he goes, let's fucking do this. So they censored him saying that. And then here he goes, he like rubs his little chin there, his big chin, I guess. And he goes, yeah, what the fuck am I going to say? They bleeped him again. I'm like, Rock, I know they told you we're on Netflix, but like, dude.
Yeah, you're not in the US. This is CW.
This is the CW in US, but like, they're not going to enjoy all this swearing. I don't know if you saw the video from last night of Drew and The Rock, where Drew's like, hey, what's with all this swearing, brother? I thought it was PG, brother. And The Rock's like, no, it's Netflix. You can swear. So Drew's like, really? Okay. Shit. Fuck. Pussy. And then The Rock's like, whoa, calm down.
It's like that scene from the King's Speech.
Yeah.
Where he gets out all of his swear words.
Whoa, you crossed that line. Yeah, The Rock's dropping a second F-bomb of the night. Don't worry, it won't be the last. But I think this is a pretty cool moment for Ethan Page. I mean, if you followed him for a long time, I'm pretty sure he's made it very clear and vocal how much he loves The Rock. So I think like this was a bit of a dream come true for Ethan Page to have an on-screen, like face-to-face, TV moment with The Rock. I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, like what, a year ago, what was this guy doing? Right? Like he's on AEW.
They've given him both Punk and The Rock.
Yeah, they've given him a lot. They've given him a whole lot. Good for him. This is awesome.
I'm curious when he moves up because what his position will be, because I do think he's a fantastic talker. I think he's like an LA Knight in ring for me. I think sometimes we underrate him a bit and then can actually really surprise. But then there are other matches where it's just very average. But I know he's got it in him for good stuff because we've seen it.
Yeah.
But from sort of, star presence and charisma and promo, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of overlooking that here Ethan Page sharing the TV, the screen time with The Rock, when The Rock is also sharing TV time and screen time with his own daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think they've had a moment, at least on screen here on NXT, where it's like been together. And I know they were at the Golden Globes on Sunday. He brought her over. I wonder if they found some acting coaches around there in the Golden Globes. I'm kidding. I'm being mean. But like, this is a pretty cool moment for her too. I feel like she was a little nervous. It looked like seeing her with The Rock. Like, this is your dad, but like at the same time, it's The Rock in this industry and everything. So I thought it was a little awkward with her segments tonight, which I always do find. But I wondered if he showed up and he's like, wait, what do you mean you're not wrestling? What You're the GM. Wait, you don't wrestle? Oh, okay. All right. Chi-Hu. But still, I think that was pretty cool to have them on screen together. I know that must have been important to them. So cool.
We go forward to the NXT Heritage Cup match. Sudden death rules. So just one fall to a finish.
Sudden death rules. Ooh, what's sudden death rules? What does that mean? Oh, it's a normal match.
It's a normal match.
Oh, okay.
Also, just look, I've got the sort of poster they posted of this match graphic. They have stretched Charlie Dempsey's face in this picture so bad.
Yeah, they're also still using the image of him with the stash.
With the mustache.
So the stash versus Lexis King's beard.
Yeah.
Epic facial hair. We've been through this already, but he's long gone shaved it. But yeah.
So Dempsey is attacking the arm of Lexis early on and is even posing very Bryan Danielson-esque, getting the submission in and then flexing the muscles. Just some classic wrestling wrist locks and stuff early on. Dempsey gets knocked to the outside and King takes him out with a crossbody. After the break, it looks like Dempsey is now bleeding from the forehead. Missed how this might have happened, but he's bleeding quite a bit from the head. There's a Northern Lights suplex with a bridge from King, and then Dempsey manages to come back with a Kimura. There's a nice looking snap power slam from King, and King just keeps on getting 2 counts and is looking more and more frustrated. He's desperately trying not to cheat, but is giving him everything he's got and still not winning. He hits a high cross, which gets rolled through into a cross arm breaker from Dempsey, which King manages to counter with a power bomb. We get a chicken wing from Dempsey, and King manages to get to the ropes, but this is where Dempsey starts continuously punching him in the face, and now King is looking rocked. He's looking all groggy and staggering about, kind of selling the blows to the head, and as they're running the ropes, Dempsey goes for a leapfrog, but King doesn't completely go down and headbutts him right in the cock. He wasn't wearing his Heritage Cup today, and Dempsey is winded. He's hurt his balls, and it allows Lexis King to follow up with the coronation and officially wins the Heritage Cup.
Yeah, but he made a G today, but he made it in a sleazy way. Like, he did it again where he's cheated to win, right? Even the ref was like, oh, wait a second. Oh, is this a DQ? And Alexis is like, oh, I don't know. And the ref's like, well, fuck it. Play ball. Keep going. I guess he did. But, like, keep going. And then poor Charlie's just there like, yo, he fucking hit me in the balls. And then he hits him with the coronation, sending this Brit back to Coronation Street. But funny, like, finish, but it's a bit of a, like, repeat of what we did the last week. So, like, really, Ava should do the same thing, because Booker on commentary was arguing with Vic or Corey. I couldn't tell them apart, but Booker was saying that, like, hey, I respect Ava, she's our boss, but she was wrong to have stripped Lexis King from the cup. Like, he won it fair and square no matter what. And then the similar thing happens. So, like, yeah, would Ava then strip him again, and then we go to like a 2 out of 3 falls or something like that? No DQ or a cup match, or I don't know.
I feel this should be it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Dempsey should move on.
Sure.
Yeah, I think she was wrong to strip him last week.
Yeah.
And the ref let it continue. I thought you could have maybe done the sort of semi-played with the heritage rules, like thinking in like UFC, if there's an accidental low blow, there's still like a time period, isn't there? There's like separate, give 30 seconds or whatever, and could then continue it, and Lexis hits the coronation or whatever. But yeah, not bad. I thought Lexis King didn't look quite as good as he has in previous matches, and maybe it's the rounds format of kind of just doing 3-minute stop that helps his performances, because I kind of lacked maybe a bit of the pacing in this one from him.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this up again, but this match had more time than the main event. This match started in a break, and then as their entrances were happening, they went to a commercial break, and then the match started, and then they went to a commercial break, and then they came back, and then the match happened. So like 3+ minutes of this match again was missing from my viewing, because there was no picture-in-picture. So
Braden, it's TV. Like, yeah, this has been 30 years of wrestling on TV.
Yeah,
with
I just feel like
breaks. It's how it is.
Yeah, but let me finish. Like this episode maybe had me feeling the worst out of, and the last time I felt this way was the CW debut. So I think it's a CW time constraint thing. Like, the wrestling on this show, yeah, there was 5 matches. All of them were around the same time, which was about like 9-10 minutes. And all of them had 3 minutes missing from the viewing. So really, we only got to see them wrestle for like 5 minutes. Like, I know they've been doing this for a long time. I know TV, but this episode specifically annoyed me more than the CW debut. Like, this match, the opening match and the main event, all was missing a majority of the actual match. Like the only one was the opening match, because they had picture-in-picture, which I got to watch the whole match. And that's probably why I liked that match more than any other match on this show, and the original CW debut of Giulia Roxanne, which the same thing, where they just like cut a majority of it. So obviously we got to pay the bills. We got to have commercial breaks, but this show was very, very heavy on commercial breaks. I know that now because I have to hear that song repeatedly. So like, I still liked some of the stuff in this match, but I felt like I didn't necessarily see the whole match because I didn't. And I felt like that with the later title match. But a highlight out of this match was Charlie Dempsey locking in the Taz mission, which I thought was sick. Shout out to kids and their, what is it, Nepo babies? Because I'm sure he watches Hook on the other channel, but he did a really good Taz mission here on Lexis King. I liked that a lot. So I too want Charlie Dempsey to move away from Lexis King, and I kind of want Charlie to go into the North American title picture and beyond there. Like, I hope Charlie stays in NXT for a while. The No Quarter Catch crew is definitely like catching some steam, especially after the tag team is also kind of picking up. So as much as I hate to see him lose against Lexis King, I'm kind of excited to maybe see where Regal Jr. lands, what else he can be doing, because he is a pretty phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're just going to have the same conversation every week. Like, commercials aren't going anywhere. And it's same
big
amount
matches
every week. I do think maybe this week, The Rock being added.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely screwed some timing up. But I'm kind of, it is what it is at this point.
It's just like the special, like, this is, okay, we got two big matches. It's going to be the changing of the guard. The eras are changing because we got two big title matches. And it's like, yeah, well, like, the match was 5 minutes long because I didn't get to see the other half of it. So, like, I know that we've had commercials. They're not new in wrestling. I just feel like WWE for, like, certain episodes in NXT, I know since not being on the CW, like, they go, hey, this is going to be commercial free for this match, or etc. Like, it just felt like this whole show was, half of it was this commercial music playing on Netflix. But like, I still enjoyed some of the wrestling I got, but I was still like, man, am I just watching one long commercial here today? So I'll stop complaining about it. But this episode was the most I felt ever watching NXT, considering there was title matches that should just show the match. But yeah.
So we see Ava with Fallon and Stephanie Vaquer backstage, and this is when Shotzi walks in and thinks she should be the #1 contender for the title as she pinned Fallon in the 6-woman tag. Stephanie's like, no, I just won a 4-way for #1 contender, and I did that completely on my own, not with partners. So they end up setting up a match for next week between Shotzi and Vaquer, and the winner will face Fallon at, I assume, Vengeance Day. Yeah.
Kind of cool, like, having Shotzi be like, no, wait a second, I just pinned Fallon. Did you not see that? And Ava's like, oh, that is true. And Fallon being the classic heel, like, ooh, let them figure it out, and then the winner can face me. The only thing was they stood, the shot ended, but we didn't go away from it. So you had them all standing there, and Ava just like, are we still live? I don't know what's going on. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're cut away. But I think this is a cool little mini story for, I think Stephanie will beat Shotzi to go forward. But still, I think there's a nice little segue to get to the title match.
So next week, we've got Shotzi versus Stephanie in the #1 contenders match. We've got the Meta Girls taking on the Unholy Union to determine the #1 contenders for the women's tag titles. And we've got OTM taking on Fraxium for the tag titles. And that's when we cut to, there's a quick cut to them stripping the canvas of the ring. And they go, whoa, no.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Cut straight to Joe Tessitore, and they go, hey, look. Hey, Corey, isn't that the guy who took your job?
Oh. And then his buddy is wearing a Heels Have Eyes shirt, which I think Joe didn't realize that the guy was like, look at my shirt, Heels Have Eyes, West Side Gun. And Joe was like, yeah, look at this guy. He loves wrestling. And it's like a great promotion for West Side Gun's promotion here. I don't think he knew what he was doing, but loved it.
And we go to our main event for the NXT Championship. We start with just Femi and Trick Williams for the introductions, as Eddy Thorpe is still injured from the attack. We go into it, and Trick hits a nice-looking Samoan driver on Oba for a 2 count. After the break, we see Eddy backstage stumbling around with a steel chair, making his way to the ring. There, Oba and Trick are fighting on the second rope, and Williams delivers a rock bottom 1, 2, and Oba kicks out. Trick then goes for his spinning pump kick, but gets caught by Femi and slammed. And then Oba goes to the pop-up powerbomb, the fall from grace, but gets caught on the way down with a DDT. This time, Trick is able to hit his spinning boot. Oba comes back with the pop-up powerbomb, and then Eddy Thorpe pulls the ref out of the ring. Oba is pissed and just starts killing Eddy. He hits him with the toss powerbomb, running uppercuts in the corner. But then there's a trick shot from Williams to Oba Femi, and Femi just kicks out. Trick is then setting up for another trick shot as Eddy Thorpe grabs the steel chair. Oba sidesteps him, so Trick takes out Eddy, but gets hit with the chair in the process and turns around, getting hit with the fall from grace powerbomb from Oba Femi for the win and new NXT champion.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Oba Femi winning the big one here in NXT. There was some fun action in this match between Trick. I think Trick was really trying to step it up in this match, hitting some moves that we've really never seen. You mentioned that Samoan driver, the rock bottom off like the second or third rope there. That was pretty cool. But this match still felt like Oba Femi won, but it felt wrong. It felt like this shouldn't have been the way Oba Femi wins the NXT World title, if that makes sense. You got a lot of components here, a lot of things going on when originally this was advertised as a singles match. And then the stuff with Eddy Thorpe happened, and then it was shoehorned in as the triple threat with this story. Is this all just to make Trick like look more stronger than he is? Because it's like you also had Eddy Thorpe with the chair and then the power bomb. It's like, I don't know if we needed all that like convoluted stuff. It just didn't hit the way I thought Oba Femi standing tall, winning the title would feel like. It felt a little like, I don't know, fake. It didn't feel like the genuine, like, I don't know, title change, a big, strong moment. And they're also rushing. They're also like, hey, get the fuck up to the stage because we got this planned thing with him and Giulia who are standing there with like new champ. And like, I get it. Great visual, a new era of NXT, all that. But it didn't feel like a world title match. It felt rushed. It felt like you got some spots in and then Eddy Thorpe shows up to like get to the finish. So I didn't necessarily love this. Again, I'm really happy for Oba Femi winning. I think it's the right decision. Just how it all happened, maybe I wasn't a fan of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they want to have Trick chase Oba Femi. Right. I think Oba Femi is so dominant that, and I think there's maybe the risk of if Femi's facing Trick one-on-one that people would side with Femi, and I think they want to keep Trick as a hot baby face as well. So, but in doing it this way, it still sort of protects Trick as well. I think that's what they're thinking. I agree with you. I think we will get the one-on-one between Femi and Trick at Vengeance Day. I think we'll get that, and I think we'll get the proper match. There was some, like, Trick Williams is a weird one because I think in ring he's still not great. You know, he's had some good matches in there, and he's had good moments, and he's definitely been improving. But I think we've seen him be exposed quite a few times as well. But there's a weird clunkiness about him that sometimes works, and I think Oba, just with his size, has that weird clunkiness as well. So they had kind of a ugly looking match that I actually kind of got into. And I feel their chemistry could actually be pretty good for a one-on-one. So I hope that is the direction they're going. I don't think Trick should be moving up anytime soon. I think he still has some work to do in NXT in just improving. But I think the one-on-one could actually be quite entertaining when we get it.
Like, I thought some of the wrestling between the two of them were great. The stuff I didn't like was all like the rushing with Eddy Thorpe and the gimmick of that. And it just felt a little messy and all over the place when, like, hey, you already promoted Trick versus Oba. You could have had Eddy come in and cost them the match if you were going to do it that way anyways. Why did you need to make this a triple threat? Why did we need to go through all of this just to get to this outcome anyways? Because we all thought that Eddy was added into this to protect Oba, when he wasn't. He was there to protect Trick in looking bad and losing to Oba. But this is for the title. I just feel like this is an odd way to change hands. Like, you should have just been Oba, just powerbombing him, clean, done, over. I don't know. You could have easily rematched it too. Like, oh, I wasn't on my game. Eddie Thorpe. I don't know. Something about it just didn't feel that good watching it. It didn't hit the way like, wow, Obafemi's been on this wild run. Remember when he won the NXT title and started that reign? Like, I hope this reign goes on for a while. I can't see Trick taking this back from him. I think there'll be a lot more fresh, interesting challengers for Obafemi going forward. But
we need baby faces though in NXT.
Yeah, we don't have many
of them.
Yeah. I mean, Javon Evans, once he's done with Ethan Page, maybe him versus Oba, like the size differences and everything, the contrast there would be great. But yeah, again, I think this is the right decision, and I think we predicted that like eventually Obafemi's got to have this title because the Trick era, what was he calling it? The whoop that era wasn't necessarily hitting, but I don't think this hit quite the way that I thought it was going to either. But I'm also happy to see where it goes. But yeah.
We go to our main event segment. Out comes The Rock. He's coming to the ring. He points to a guy in the front row that he's wearing a shirt that says "Pro Wrestling is real," and The Rock's like, "Fuck yeah, it is."
That's our fourth F-bomb.
Yeah. He gets in the ring, says he's got fucking chills all over his motherfucking body.
Five.
Says he's getting fucking emotional.
6.
And then he says, I've got 6 fucking minutes left to wrap up this fucking promo, so I better fucking get on with it.
You can see the guy, the cameraman or whoever, like the shadow of the guy being like, you got fucking 6 minutes. And
he's like, 6 minutes, 33 seconds? Oh, cool. Okay.
6 minutes? I just took 6 minutes to walk to the ring, but okay.
I better list off every nickname I've ever had then. So goes through the Rolodex and nicknames he's had. And he then says, 1 year ago, everyone was saying, why are you so mean to Cody? But last night, I wanted to give him his flowers because he's carried this company on his back for the last year. Then what did they say? Oh, you can't be nice to Cody. Don't drink tequila with Cody. And he says, just remind them that The Rock is the final boss, thinking 20 steps ahead. So know your role, shut your mouth, and enjoy the ride. So yeah, I think that was the only real kind of notable bit from this promo. He's then like, I've got 2 minutes left and I've been told to watch my language. He says he was asked to come here, but didn't really know what to say and was told to just fill the crowd and has been told that NXT is the show you want to go to. He's swearing some more. And then I get the message on Netflix saying the live event has ended, yet it continues a little bit for us. And he just swears some more and says, NXT, WWE, I love you if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Just basically wasting all our time for 15 fucking minutes. Wow. Okay. The plus, The Rock promoting himself for NXT, that's got to have a lot more eyeballs on NXT tonight. I think that's a good thing. The negative, I'm complaining about short, important matches that were taking place, all to make sure we had 15 extra minutes for this guy. Half of that time was him walking to the ring. Half of the time was just him looking around and the guy cueing him like, yo, you better start talking. You have 5 minutes. Just please talk. So like, it was a little bizarre. It was a little like a whole lot of nothing. This set me back to the way The Rock used to be before he became the final boss. I really loved the final boss character. Dare I say my favorite iteration of The Rock was last year with the feud with Cody. I've always loved The Rock. I always loved his old school stuff, but that final boss thing was really like one of my favorite things of the year last year. Only for him to come out on Raw as Dwayne. And I was like, okay. Only for him to come out here on NXT as Dwayne and just says a whole lot of nothing, saying like, oh, you're mad that I'm being nice to Cody. Kind of like trying to retcon what he did last night. But that wasn't really why he was there. He was there just to be there, just to do his catchphrase and sign off. So as much as I think this is like, hey, it's great, The Rock is on NXT, at the same time, it's like, what did you even say? What did you even do? Well, why were you even here? For what reason did you do to eat up and take away time from all the other stuff that was heavily promoted weeks before you were ever going to schedule this? So yeah, I loved the final boss. I do not like the Dwayne Johnson version of The Rock that this is, the corporate Dwayne, who manages to not only say the pie eating, all that stuff. He mixed in, I own all the stocks. I am The Rock. is also what he said. But yeah, this was a bit of a head scratcher for me. What did you think of this?
It serves two things, you know. I think it does help, you know, it does obviously help viewership knowing The Rock is on it. And I do think we had better substance on this show than we did, say, that show when Cody and The Undertaker showed up. I thought in general, there was, you know, title changes, there was story development, there were good matches on this show. I would have liked him to come out with a bit more substance, or just being used in a little bit of actually having a bit of a plan with him. But I didn't overly hate it. You know, it's this week, it's this celebratory week for WWE. This isn't going to be it every single week with The Rock coming out. I hope, I get what you mean. It did just feel playing the hits, both today and yesterday. And I hope when we do next see him, it's actually to build an actual program. And I think that's when we'll see the final boss come back. Angel in the chat says, I think he put over NXT, which there is that.
Yeah, but also like $10 says, sorry, $7 in my pocket says this guy doesn't watch NXT. Like I feel like he was told the stuff about Ethan Page while he got there. It felt cheap. It felt the old Rock that we would see to come back to WWE and do this kind of bullshit. When like now I'm like, no, you were so good as this other character. And I'm not saying you need to show up as a bad guy or by any means. It's just you needed something. You needed to say something.
Yeah, I did feel this was one of those times where he really, like, he's normally, even in these moments, he's normally still pretty good. Yeah. And here he was like, I felt it was very honest. I have no idea what I'm going to say.
Even earlier.
Whereas earlier in the night, he's saying that. I'm like, okay, yeah, but you know what you're going to say. And it really felt like, oh, I've got to do this gig tonight where I'm The Rock and I'll just show up. And
I'm putting my tinfoil hat on for a sec, but follow me for a second. Last night, am I the only one who thought he was talking about Paul, Triple H, before he referred to Cody? I've spilt my blood with this man.
I think a lot did. Yeah, I think a lot did.
And then we're like, oh, he's talking about Cody. Like, he could have come out here. Like, he could have been like, you know, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, you've done a good job with this. The future is now. He didn't say any of that. He just said, yeah, NXT is great. I love NXT. I love WWE. It was like, prove it. Prove you do, because I guarantee you've not fucking watched it.
Think
ever.
Compared to when Punk came out and he's like listing people.
He knows everything.
Face one day. Yeah. He's like, oh, Mello's killing it now on the main roster and Bron Breakker, and he's saying all those things where, it did really feel like, oh, I'm in the area and there's a WWE show on, and especially when it is taking away time from everyone, some, like, heavily promoted matches. I get it. I think it's still The Rock, and a lot of people, like, just him being on the show is a big thing. I think, I am with you here.
Also,
I think there's just an element of disappointment as well, because I think we realize, we're not getting that story this year. Especially for Mania cycle.
That too, but like, hey, those things happen in wrestling. I mean, this guy's a worldwide star. He's got to finish the story with Vin Diesel after the Golden Globes shout out from him. So like, this guy's busy, and I get that. I'm not even upset at that. I just I don't know if I'm upset about like the Cody stuff, whatever. It's like The Rock is one of the most famous, lovable guys. Like, even when he was promoting WrestleMania last year, while he was the final boss, he wasn't in character when he was on Jimmy Fallon promoting WrestleMania. He was this guy, and this guy slowly keeps turning into Terry Bollea of just lying and coming across like not like genuine. I don't know. I love this guy.
Do you think he had In-N-Out Burger for the first time while he was in California?
yeah, sure. Just like, this just felt like a waste of time, but I know that the casuals were like, holy shit, it's The Rock on NXT. But like, imagine The Rock on like Black and Gold era. Imagine The Rock actually wrestling a match. Like, hey, you know what would have been better is you had him and Ava in that backstage segment, and he's like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then he comes out here, and then Ethan Page interrupts him, and then you have a bit of a segment in the ring.
An in-ring segment, having, you know, if you scheduled, Ava is going to discipline Ethan Page for breaking Braun's jaw, and Cedric, and that's a segment in ring, which The Rock comes out for, and you have a bit of going back and forth between him and Page. That would be good. And you could have had that as the main event, and fuck it, eat a rock bottom if he needs to. But
probably better than whatever this was. Like
it definitely it feels like they had this show kind of set and planned, and then we got to make 15 minutes for The Rock.
I also like knowing The Rock. When the show didn't start with him, I was like, oh, they've learned their lesson, because here on the CW, they got to cut to the news. Like they're not fucking around with these overrunning times. So I thought, okay, this is good for them, because they're going to push The Rock later, because he'll be cut off. And that's exactly what happened. Like he spent more time walking to the ring than he did talking in the ring. And then it's just like, yeah, goodbye. See you later. Very, very bizarre, but it's The Rock. So yeah, he's going to go make Moana 3 and Jumanji 3, and we'll miss him.
Well, that's what we thought. We do have some feedback this week on our Facebook group. If you ever want to leave feedback, just give the Poisonrana page on Facebook a follow, and that will lead you to the private group where you can leave feedback and post memes and find out what shit's going on in the world. Do you have the feedback open there? I
do. I'm going to read the first one here from Manny from Pacoima. He says, what a show. Every match delivered in a live setting. I think he was there, because he says, I got to see a bunch of my favorite stars. The NXT roster did their thing. I'm not sure how Trick versus Oba came off on TV, but seeing it from a live perspective, both men delivered. My match of the night was definitely Roxanne versus Giulia. Compared to being at Raw last night, I would say tonight's show kept my excitement going through the entire show. And you already know we had to rep the crew at Poisonrana tonight. And here is Manny sitting front row in a pink Lucha Frog of Doom Poisonrana crew neck. Manny from Pacoima, I love you. Wow, what a beauty. We didn't know that you were going to be beautiful. I hope you had a fantastic time there. And damn, you look good in that Poisonrana crew neck. Wow. Available at chop-tees.com/Poisonrana. Wow, beautiful. Manny, I'm glad that you had such a great time. It sounds like you went to Raw and NXT tonight. Wow, 2 epic shows. I mean, that's incredible. Thank you, Manny. Really, really love seeing that. Appreciate it.
We go to Magan, who says, go get the brooms, because WWE has gone 3 for 3 in a clean sweep, as the women's division got the change they needed by capping off with Giulia becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. I almost bit on the count out and the Cora cameo. Booker needs to switch to decaf. Corey being added to commentary is a neat balance to his constant heel glazing. Thankfully, this match didn't do me dirty like another match did recently, looking at you with disdain, Ring of Honor. The first hour was all female and each match delivered. Stephanie Vaquer becoming Women's North American Champion sounds good to me. I figured Eddie Thorpe would take the fall, but New Year's Evil went all the way with the 2 title changes as Oba Femi takes the throne. A solid show that set the tone for NXT in the new year.
Thank you, Megan, as always. And we go to, finally, Fire Frank, who writes in, all hail the ruler and Giulia. NXT starts off the new year with a rest of the title scene. I think it's a right call for both, with the extra eyes they were going to get on the show tonight, thanks to Dwayne. Also, King wins the cup for real with the classic did he mean it or not accidental headbutt to the groin spot. An accidental headbutt to the groin spot. Very nice. What will be the fallout of that? Cool looking venue tonight as well. My main question coming out, will we get both former champs getting a rematch at Vengeance Day? Would like to see a PLE length Roxanne and Giulia match before it's too late. Yes, I think we were thinking.
I would hope so. Yeah, I think so. It's 5 weeks away. It's quite a long time.
You think Trick versus Oba? Thank you, Frank, by the way. Thank you, Manny. And thank you, Megan, for writing in. So Trick versus Oba and Giulia versus Roxanne. Maybe one of those matches has a stipulation for Vengeance Day.
Yeah, I think so.
And then what else are we thinking? Maybe Charlie versus Tony D. OTM already have their tag title match next week. So
Tony D's unfortunately still doing his stuff with Spears, isn't he? So that's
right.
And then I don't know who Fraxium. OTM better not be the ones. Like, I don't know. I don't see Fraxium losing the titles next week.
No, definitely not. But yeah,
I don't know. Maybe bring a tag team down or something.
Yes, but that was NXT. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us talk about it. Maybe you were a new listener out there. We appreciate you spending your time with us here. We do this every Tuesday night. In fact, we will be back next Tuesday, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk all about NXT as they go back to Orlando next week. So we will be here on Post Wrestling and postwrestling.com. Be sure to give us a follow because we are up next, but we also go by Poisonrana. And you go to Poisonrana.ca. You can check out all the links for everything that we do. We have tons of free podcasts. We will be live Sunday at 2 p.m. chatting about some AE dubs and maybe some more. I want to talk about Hulk Hogan getting booed again, so we'll talk about that some more. But follow us on all the socials and all the podcast apps and our patreon.com/Poisonrana. It's only $5 for a whole month's access of tons of shows, including Best Match Ever 2024. And oh boy, we're recording this tomorrow. We're going through the top 5 matches voted by you of 2024. We're going to get a great view of the year that was and a ton of honorable mentions as well, plus hundreds of other podcasts. So support us if you like what you hear, because we can't do with all our supporters and listeners out there. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to our NXT friends and listeners all over the world. Thank you. Like the NXT thing today, saying thank you in all the different languages. I don't know all these other words, but you could probably speak more languages than me, Davey. But thank you to everyone out there. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Yes, I myself, Braden Herrington. You can find me Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, whatever, at the Brady.
And find me on Blue Sky at davie.poisonrana.ca.
That is it. That is all. We will see you next week. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And fuck Hulk Hogan.
Ahoy!